that's my karma for what I've put my family through and put the mother of my child through and put my daughter through and my stepdaughter because I didn't think nothing could be taken away from me. Like I'm working hard. Like you can't. I can do whatever I want. I'm working hard, man. Like what? I'm making all this money. Like you can't. Like nothing's gonna happen. And shit, that shit happened. Like that shit was taken away from me. They're like, yep, you don't deserve this.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
Ask me, can I love the same? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a special guest in the building. He's the owner of Dat Slush. He's the #1 bartender in Chicago. Shit, he's apparently the sexiest bartender in Chicago too. So go ahead and introduce yourself, bro. Of
Yo, what's up, y'all? Bowtender here. Yeah, man. Thanks for that intro. Appreciate that.
course, bro. Hey, but where's the bow?
I was actually gonna wear the bow, but it was kind of hot outside, so I just didn't. I didn't wear it today. I haven't worn the bow in over a year.
He says I was gonna wear the bow, but he's wearing some plaid pants right now,
Yeah,
bro.
wearing the flat pants, man.
First of all, let's take a step back, right? Why have you not been wearing the bow in a year?
Obviously, my name Bowtender, bartender. I started wearing a bow tie for a number of years, 6, 7 years, and one day I just took off the bow and I just wanted to wear t-shirts with my blazer, and it was looking like a more of a relaxed bartender fit for me. I don't know if I just outgrew the bow or I just didn't want to wear it no more. It was just growth for me. It was like a graduation, I guess. Like I didn't need a bow to be bartender anymore.
What do you feel like it took for you to get to that point?
In the beginning of the years, I needed a niche, a look to outshine other bartenders, you could say. I seen a lane that was oversaturated with a lot of bartenders at the time. This is 2013, 2012, and um, a lot the mixology part in Chicago wasn't as popular as it became in the later 2010s. And I did my research. I watched documentaries on bartending. I followed so many people, and I'm like, man, like everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody could be a bartender. Everybody can make a cocktail. You could go on Google and look at all the specs for this cocktail. You can make a perfect cocktail if you want it. But how do you look when you make a cocktail? How do you make other people feel when they receive that cocktail from you? So I was like, let me wear a bow tie. Let me be clean and as clean as possible. Let me make them remember me. And that's what basically happened. It wasn't the drinks. It was me that they remembered. That's what brought me into that bow tender era, and I felt like I just didn't need to wear the bow tie anymore.
Starting to dress better, it created that persona, and in reality, it just gave you more confidence.
Oh my God, I faked it till I made it. I did not know how to bartend when I started wearing bow tie.
Didn't know how to make a vodka cran, huh?
Man, that's crazy because that's the first cocktail I ever made was a vodka cran. That's the very first cocktail I made at this bar called Blue Light. You probably know about it, but yeah, they gave me a chance to bartend after 2 years of bar backing, and that was the first cocktail I actually like sold, like got money for, like behind the counter, and I was so proud of myself because I didn't know what the count was. I didn't know how much cranberry to put in. It sounds so like insane now because I could do it in my sleep, but I didn't know how to pour a bottle. I didn't know how to grab a bottle. I didn't know how to do nothing. I literally taught myself.
You went from washing dishes for $30 in a night for 8 hours.
Did I tell you
No, you didn't tell me that. For 8 hours,
Yeah.
how does it feel now seeing the culmination of your life's work and where you're at now?
That's crazy. Yeah, man. I I got a job at a restaurant called Tumbao. My cousin called me. He's like, "You need money?" I like, "Yeah, I need money." He's like, "I got a job for you, but it's washing dishes." So I just did it. And but to get past that and for even the owners of these bars and clubs, they were like, they seen the potential in me because I didn't know how to bartend. I didn't know how to bar back, but they seen it like you're a hard worker, and that's what just kept me going and kept me going and gave me more jobs and more opportunities, more doors open for me, and and just to look back at that amount of money though, that's insane.
$30 for 8 hours,
That's
bro.
insane. Like who
That's
does that?
just fucking
Who does that?
stupid.
And I was a team lead at Target, and I used to go back to back to back. It was be Target, Tumbao washing dishes and cooking, and then Blue Light. And we get out of Blue Light at 6 in the morning. I had to start Target at 8 in the morning. It was like back to back all weekend.
Bro, what had you this down bad that you were a team lead at Target and you were going to wash dishes for
Bro, the
30
team leads
bucks?
at the time, they were like, I don't even know how much I was getting paid, but it wasn't enough, nowhere near enough, you know? That was always the drive. It was like the money. How much more money can I make now? That I have a totally different mindset now about money. But at the time, it was like, how much money can I make in a weekend? How much money? I need more money. I need more money.
What do you feel like changed the fact that money wasn't as important to you?
I started realizing that I don't have to work as hard to get what I need to be comfortable with. Because the money, the dollar that you chase is always going to be, you're always going to chase that dollar. You're never going to get the dollar you want. You know, you'll never be satisfied. And that's what I realized that a number of years ago. But it didn't take me until recently to actually put that in motion that I don't need to work as hard and I don't need to have 10 jobs and work at 10 bars in 1 week and I don't need to be on everybody's flyer and I don't need to do private parties and all these things that I was doing to fill my days and I wasn't happy because I was working all the time. I couldn't be with my family. And then two, just now I'm a father now, you know? I'm a father and I don't care that I don't work 4 days straight. And if I'm with my daughter for those 4 days, that's like that is that's worth so much more to me now.
As time goes on, you start to realize what's truly important to you. Just like you're saying that dollar amount, you're never going to get what you want.
In this industry, as you know, it's you get that dollar quick
Mhm.
and you lose it quicker.
Here's what I've always compared it to, right? There's always something missing in your life. And once you achieve what you've been chasing forever, it doesn't feel as good as you thought it was going to feel. You have it and you're like, okay, I earned it, but it goes just as quick as it came.
I used to go out after work. I used to make $500-$600 and then it'll be gone in a couple days because I used to go out and like let me bless these other bartenders with this money, right? That I work so hard for because I know they're working hard for it too because we're the same person, man. And that was that went quick. Like that was that, but that went on for a number of years. I look back and I'm like, man, what did I do with that money? As we all do in the industry, we look back and we're like, what did we do with that money? What did we really do? Because there's nothing. We have nothing for it.
Do you feel like you were getting the same love back from other bartenders?
At that time, yes, for
Mm.
sure. Like, because I was still new, I always felt that I had to prove myself at that point and I had to show love to them because I know they were gonna show love back. And it was more of a maybe it wasn't the love they were showing back, but they're like, well, he came here, I gotta go there and show him and spend more money on him. So it always came back to me. But that's how the industry was that I realized that I don't know if it's the love thing, but more of the being seen thing, you know? And I realized that a lot too. Like it wasn't the love. It was they want to be around you because they want to be seen around you.
Well, what do you feel like they thought they were gaining?
No, they want to be cool. You know, one I was working at a really popular bar. I'm always working at the. I feel like I'm always working at one of the top bars in the city. And they want to be on the reels. They want to be on the Instagram or at that time it was probably Facebook, MySpace or something.
And it's crazy because you're just a genuinely hard worker. That's who you are, right? Just like you said, it felt like you needed to work 4 days in a row because you were chasing that dollar. You wanted that money.
And now I'm off 4 days in a row, but at the time I was working 7 days straight. Yeah, it was 7 days nonstop. Like that's what I felt that I needed to do to get my name known, like to get out there and to get recognition. Because I'm like I'm gonna be a good bartender, even though if I wasn't the greatest then, but I knew I was gonna be good then at some point, and people are gonna know who I am.
And that's why I took the song Hustle Hard, who is it, Ace Hood?
Yeah,
In the song, he says, same old shit, just a different day. Out here trying to get it each and every way. Mama need a house, baby needs shoes. Times getting hard, guess what I'm gonna do?
hustle, hustle. I probably listened to that song. I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 times. There's certain songs I listen to hype me up even till this day. And one of them is that's one of the songs I have. Till I Collapse by Eminem. Like that hypes me up. I'm like, till I collapse. I can't stop until I collapse. And that even if I'm tired now, but then I would listen to that every day because I was so tired every day. And I'm like, I need motivation
Why was money so important to you to drive yourself to that point?
because I didn't have it before got into the industry. I was in the military. I was in the Navy, and I came back, and I was so humbled by how much I that I thought all the doors were gonna be open for me. I was in medical, worked on the psych ward, with substance abuse veterans or people coming from Iraq, military personnel coming from Iraq, or mental disorders. So I loved it. I love that psychology. Talking to people and trying to understand what they are and who they are. And then I did that. I came back home, and I could have got a job in Virginia. I could have stayed in Virginia and got a dope job. But I was like, I want to come back home to Chicago and be like, I'm the man when I come back. I was in the military and all this. And I came back and like people were in the same spot when I left them, still on the block. No doors were open for me. They're you got a nice resume, you got good recommendations from all these captains and commanders, but you need a degree. I'm like, oh shit, a fucking degree? What? In the military, they give us, here's a gun, and here, just go do your thing, or here's this um, patient's info. Go like talk to them, make sure they take these pills, make sure you get blood from them. And it was like all this stuff that give you there to do. And here you need, and in civilian life, it was so much um, like paperwork and all the school that I was not trying to do. I was like, I ain't going back to school. I was done with school. And that's why I got so humbled coming back that I need to prove myself again, because I felt I already did prove myself with the military, and now I got to come prove myself again to my family, to my friends, and I got to work hard because I lost what I thought I had. That was that one little phone call to wash those dishes. I'm like, I got to make something out of this.
And that hustle, it all translated into, everything else you ended up doing with that slush, right?
That was one of those pandemic businesses that that were popping up everywhere. That me and my business partner were like, let's do slushies. I'm like, let's do it.
It's a concept that like everybody has, right? Anybody can do it. It's so easy,
Making slushies, it's like bartending.
but you made it your own. You made it something that people value based off the name that you built over those 10 years. And that's what I found the most interesting. It could have been anybody that made it, but it wouldn't have been as important to certain restaurants if it wasn't you.
Yeah, it's just a slushie.
When the pandemic happened, I was at what is it, Mima's, and I seen it, and I was like, "That's cool." It's kind of like a takeoff of that Splat, right? Remember at that time. And then when I found out you made it, I'm like, "Oh shit."
Like a bartender made this, like, or like this person with his name, and like, yeah, it gotta be good, right?
Well, no, life comes full circle.
Oh,
It was a life coming full circle type moment where I'm like, damn, like I had nothing to do with this industry when I first saw that shit. Now, like, I get to sit down with you and have a conversation about these things that were going on. So go ahead and talk about the inception of that slush and the importance it held to you at that time.
it was a pandemic, right? Heart of the pandemic, and I'm like, every bartender is doing pre-made cocktails or take-home cocktails at the time. And one of my buddies, I didn't even, I tell you the truth, I wasn't even thinking about doing anything like any any drinks at all, any cocktails to take home, because so many bartenders were doing it. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang out and just collect this unemployment. And one of my buddies hits me up. He's like, I need an old fashioned. He's like, I need you to make old fashions because I'm doing a party, and I want to buy your old fashioned. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I went on Amazon, got these little pouches, like they have like a little 1 inch hole on top, and it was like they're real little. And I'm like, cool, I could do this. Maybe make him, maybe just a one off, sell him some cocktails, and that's it. And when those pouches came in, my business partner now, Miguel, he calls me up and he's like, you know, let's do to go cocktails. And I'm like, I'm actually gonna do something over here, with this guy. I'm just gonna sell it to him. He's like, no, let's do slushies. So it was my business partner. He was like, let's do slushies. I'm like, all right, like that sounds fun. And it was another one off. Like, all right, let's just go to Benny's, buy this liquor and sell them. And they sold out in one day. It was sold like 50 of them. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. We spent 400 on ingredients and we made $1,000. So I'm like, oh, that's cool, one off. And then he like, let's do it again. And like we did it again. And the next thing you know, week after week, it was like sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out. And that man, that drove like that pandemic depression, like that helped out so much because I'm like, I'm a bartender. I need to be out, right? I need to be out there and I need to be around people. And you couldn't do that. But this was helping me with that, just being out of the house because I was, going crazy. I have a daughter, I have, the mother of my child and my stepdaughter, and I'm just like I need to get out the house and do something. So that helped me out a lot, and it put a lot of money in my pocket. Um, and yeah, so that I mean that just helped me out with just moving around and putting money in my pocket, and then it helped out with even in the city, like other restaurants. Then the restaurants started hitting me up when we reopened, and I'm like, yeah, we'll go over there and bring our slushies there, and we'll create this cocktail for you, and create this cocktail for this restaurant, and we'll create that cocktail for this restaurant, and it grew so quick.
And you mentioned how the pandemic it really took a toll on you mentally. How did everything shutting down affect you and test you as a father?
Patience and planning better with my money. Like the money wasn't coming like how I had it every week. I was guaranteed in my mind. I was guaranteed a few $1,000s, you know. So let me. It went from that to like that cut in half. You know, I'm not. I'm like, how can I? But then it helped out that nothing was open, so I couldn't spend my money on anything anyway. But just trying to be there and try to do stuff with the kids, try to make sure that the mother of my child is like happy, like all this stuff that I wasn't used to because I was always working. And and then also me getting a haircut every week, and I can't get no haircuts. The look, the look. They say you look how you feel, or you feel how you look, and I felt like shit. Like I was like, damn, my hair is going crazy, my beard is going crazy. I need a haircut. I used to call my barber like, look, I need you to come over to the house. Like I don't care how much it's gonna cost. And my barber said no. So
He said no, he wouldn't come cut you up.
one of my homies did come me up, but man, it was hard. It was hard, man. I was like trying to look up recipes to cook. Like I love cooking, so I'm trying to look up all these cool recipes to cook. They're not eating it because they're like, I don't want that. I want chicken nuggets. So like, oh, all right, whatever. But yeah, man, it was hard. But I also I kept bartending too. Like after a couple months, I'm like doing these Southside parties. Like people hitting me up, and I'm like in these neighborhoods that I would never go back to. I'm like, I'm not going back to these neighborhoods, but the money was really good because everybody wants to party, and the money was just getting thrown at us. Like it was like, that's the only bar. That's what you're gonna be there. I'm gonna be there too. I'm like, all right, come through. People are driving an hour away. I always tell my barber, I'm like, people always find money to get a haircut, and people always find money to drink. Whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're trying to like, whether anything, you're gonna find money to drink, and that's what I'm. It's a blessing and I guess and a curse to be a bartender because you're always going to be the devil's advocate. I say,
Do you feel guilty for that?
no, I do not
Oh,
because
it's
that's
not
what.
your
Yeah,
problem.
it's not my problem. But I always think about it though. I don't feel guilty, but I think about it like, damn, like I'm giving these people that gateway.
Do you feel like COVID was the toughest period you had to go through during your journey as a bartender?
Coming out of COVID, of that pandemic, was harder because so now everything's open back up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that money is not there at all. There's nobody coming out because people are scared, but everything's open, but people are still scared. So now there's limits on how many people could come into your bar, and you can't sit at the bar itself. So there's like you can only get like 15 people in your bar or your club or whatever it is. So some bars didn't even reopen because it wasn't worth it, and a lot of businesses lost had to shut down because of that. But so now that everything's open, now the South Side parties or the neighborhoods that I wasn't going back to, they're not doing the parties no more because they had to go back to their regular jobs, as far as industry jobs. And man, nobody was tipping. I remember we reopened. I worked at District in Wicker Park, and I loved working there. But I remember reopening, and we were just like, "Yo, nobody's tipping us. Nobody's tipping us." And that was the hardest part because I'm like, damn, do I gotta? Should I not be a bartender anymore?
Well, for you even being in this industry for so long, it's something that a lot of people have deemed like a good thing and a bad thing, right? Just like you said, there's the good and the bad to it. And a lot of the time, the bad comes from the mental toll it takes on you. A lot of people can't handle it because there's a lot of vices around you, right? You become easily addicted. You become depressed because you're staying up all types of crazy hours. And I think about the song, it's by Ed Sheeran. It's called Beautiful People. I didn't take a specific lyric, but in the song, he wrote it about the people in Los Angeles, the people who are in the entertainment industry. And they're called beautiful people because there's people who have all these nice things, right? They have a Rolls Royce, they pop champagne bottles every day if they want to. And for Ed Sheeran, he comes from basically nothing. He comes from fucking Ireland where he had nothing growing up. So he's like, we don't fit in well. we could use some help getting out of this conversation. I need help leaving these people who I've somehow magically joined because I'm so talented at what I do. Just like you, right? You didn't necessarily want this lifestyle, but you got into it, you earned it, and you're fucking great at what you do, man. So, what kind of mental toll has being in the industry taken on you?
Like you said, there are a lot of vices in this industry that I'm glad that I never got addicted to anything, any substances, right? I never got into that, but women is my vice, women, and that's still a problem till this day for me. And that, and I mean, when messed up my family, uh, I didn't think I was be single at this age and not have not be with the mother of my child and see my daughter 4 times or maybe 3 times a week or 2 times a week, but that's the that's the that's my karma for what I've put my family through and put the mother of my child through and put my daughter through and my stepdaughter because I didn't think nothing could be taken away from me. Like I'm working hard. Like you can't. I can do whatever I want. I'm working hard, man. Like what? I'm making all this money. Like you can't. Like nothing's gonna happen. And shit, that shit happened. Like that shit was taken away from me. They're like, yep, you don't deserve this. So yeah, so that even now, like, look, when I'm by myself and I'm like, damn, like I had a whole family in my house. Now I'm by myself on a Monday, like making rice. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to make all these crazy dishes because that's how I show my love. And I'm making rice and like ketchup, like, cause what else? Like, why am I gonna cook something else than that? So that's the hardest part. Even now, like right now, that's what I'm going through right now. But that's because of the years of bullshit that I've done. This is what I deserve.
How have you been coping with that loneliness?
I've been talking to a therapist. I had like I gotta talk to somebody, right? So I'm like I Googled whatever and it was like the first thing that popped up, it was like, I'm like, let me just make an appointment. And that's been helping out okay with me because they don't know who I am. They don't know who Bowtender, they don't know Alfredo, they don't know they don't even like they don't go out. They're like, yeah, whatever. Like what's your problem? And they don't care. Like they care, but they don't care who I am. And that's what I like about it. That's what's helping me out now. My daughter literally is just, she's just, she always saves my life, like she's just my I look forward to seeing her. So that's what's keeping me going. Cause like it's not the money no more, you know? Cause that's what, the money is what drove me to be, drink every night, and the money drove me to go out after working 18 hours a day. Like I could still go out. And no, I should have been going home. Like I should have been going home. I shouldn't be going out to the club.
So, do you feel like the reason that money holds less value to you now is because you've seen the damage it's done to your life currently?
I never said no to anybody. Like, yeah, I'll work that. Yeah, I could fit that in. Now I'm saying no left and right. Like, I don't want to. No, I don't want to do that. I had my daughter today. Like, if this was a few years ago, I'm like, yeah, I could do it. Even though I was living with my daughter, but I wasn't I didn't appreciate the time that I had because saying yes to that job is taking hours away from her and putting a few $100s in my pocket that I'm not even gonna remember where I spend it at. Now I'm more focused on spending time with her, making sure she's having fun, make sure she loves being with me, and being more smarter with my money.
And that's what really happens, right? Is you lose everything that you worked so hard for.
When I was losing everything, I still had to put on a show. That's what's crazy part about it. That's even more mental damaging. I felt like was like I still have to put on a show for everybody and still be bow tender and still act like it doesn't affect me, right? And I think that was more damaging than anything, like not showing the emotion and not even understanding what I'm feeling. Like, why am I feeling this way? But fuck it, let me push that shit down to the side and let me go into work and try to just get my mind off that. But that's what, was at the time, damaging also.
I remember being in school and going through all these different emotions, and even working with kids now, I see it. It's like we're told that we need to be okay. We're told that you have everything, so you should be fine. And like you're saying, people don't know what's going on with you. To them, they think, "Oh shit, you're a Bowtender. You're making all this fucking money.
You're around girls, you're around this.
You're the reason we have a good time every night." So we don't even think about the shit that's going on with you. The fact that you mentioned having a broken family now, nobody knows that shit. And the only reason they would is if they sat down and had a conversation with you about the things that are going on in your life. And I've noticed that take a toll on me more recently. Yeah, I'm fucking sad boy radio, right? I sit down and have a conversation every week with somebody about whatever's going on in their life. But I've pushed to the side everything that I'm going through. I pushed to the side what I feel because I'm trying to make everybody else happy in my life. And it's got nothing to do with guests or producers. It's got to do with my personal life, right? I'm trying to make everybody else happy in my personal life that I stress myself out and I'm starting to notice I have a shorter fuse lately. That's not good. That's not fair to the people around me. But that's when you need to take that step back and realize, like, hey, like, let me focus on me. Let me get me right before I focus on everybody else.
That's that energy transfer, right? You transfer you hear us, your guests, talk about their lives, and that they'll never talk about probably to anybody else ever again. A lot of your guests, they'll probably never say the stuff that they said on here ever again to anybody. But you have it's mentally engraved into your mind, right? S- Is that do you feel like that's gonna like is that you're absorbing these feelings?
To be honest, no. I never thought about it that way. I never, because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy having people come on and talk to me about what they're going through because at the end of the day, there's so many other people going through the same shit, but nobody ever talks about it. That's what I love about what I do. And that's why I created it, right? Because I was going through so much shit that I'm like, man, I'm probably like the only person going through this. But there's at least 10 other people who will watch this and be like, damn, I felt that. And you see with every like you get on those posts, right? Nobody's liking my shit because they're like, "Oh, fuck, it's Matt. Imma like that shit." No, they're liking that shit because they listen to what I said and they're like, "Oh shit, he's spitting facts." They listen to Enigma because they're like, "Oh shit, villains are really people who don't give a fuck about what people gotta say." They felt that shit because people make you feel like, "Oh, you're wrong all the time," especially in a relationship, right? And I'm not gonna say what you did was right, but in relationships, people will tell you you're wrong because you didn't take care of my feelings and you didn't make sure I was happy. But it's not my job to make sure you're happy. It's my job to enhance your happiness. But if you're already upset about something, I can't take away what happened to you. That's how I think about it, right? And that's what I think about with Enigma. My bad, I got off track. But so I don't think of it as like, oh, people are telling me this negative shit and it's starting to affect my mood. No, I think it's more so that everybody has their own shit that they're going through. And when so much falls on you and you don't have the opportunity to take care of what you need to and what you value, you're not happy. Because if you can't do what you love, then what are you really doing with life?
Especially like in the industry, you say all weekend I would work, and then Monday I say I'll be off, and I wouldn't want to talk to nobody, not even my family. Like it was hard. Like and then it's like why like damn like why are you so quiet? Why this? I'm like I don't know. I just don't want to talk because I've been talking all weekend. Like I've been creating these stories and listening to everybody's stuff. So it's like one of those things that I just got to shut down. I had to shut down sometimes, but that's kind of at the time it was so it was wrong because I couldn't explain it correctly, like communication. Because she's with the mother of my child. She's with the kids all weekend, like trying to do stuff and trying to work and I'm just like, here's money, here's money, here's money. Like that didn't work. That doesn't solve anything. And then Monday comes and like I don't want to do nothing. I want to be in bed all day. But it's like no, she needs her space too. I'm like the communication that that I am trying to work on now is like for the future me with somebody else.
When me and you talked, you mentioned emotional maturity. What did it take for you to reach the point of I need to be better at being aware of my emotions?
Going through the breakup with my daughter's mother, I just had to understand what was happening with me. It was like, am I sad or am I mad? Like, is this depression or is this like me just trying to stay in and not see people? Is that, I didn't know what was going on in my mind. I didn't know how to communicate it, and I didn't know the feelings. Like, there's so many times that, like I said, I didn't think I would be at this point right now as far as my relationship with the mother of my child. I didn't know I was gonna be here right now with that. And so I like, how can I process this? Like, how embarrassing that is for me? But it's like it was all me, right? Like, for like embarrassing for me, or how does this affect me? And I'm like, well, what about, her, and what about my child, and what about my stepchild? Like, what is happening now? And I want them to communicate that also. I try to work with my daughter and try to, like, how are you doing today? Like, I want her to understand her feelings, basically, because I want to understand mine. So it's like a growth thing for both of us.
I feel like when you understand yourself more, that's when you have bigger battles with yourself. Because now I understand what's wrong with me. I understand why it's happening to me. And when you understand it, it almost creates an even bigger stress on you
Because you're
because
aware.
because you're aware and you're like, well, fuck, these are the issues I have. So now I have to make these changes. And sometimes you're not really ready to make those changes, but you know that if you don't, it's gonna have repercussions.
Like, I still don't understand 100%. This is a new journey for me, like therapy, but it makes me not want to be around people more because I want to be to myself more and understand myself more before I throw myself into the cycle. And I'm like, and that's what, I go to work now. I come home. I don't go out after work. Like I said, I wait for the day that my daughter comes over, and that's it. That's my life. Um, I don't, I rarely hit people up now to go out. If I do go out, probably be during the day, but being around people while you're trying to heal and try to understand yourself, I think that is damaging also, because everybody has a point of view about how you should feel and what you're going through. They understand, but do they understand? I don't know. So it's like, I gotta understand myself first before you can understand me.
And going off of that, there's this quote that I heard where the person said, I can only understand you and know you to the deepest level that you know yourself.
Definitely.
And I think about that a lot because even for me, before I started all of this, I didn't really even understand who I was. I didn't know how to communicate shit. I was scared to communicate certain things to certain people because it's like, oh, well, the relationship's going to be gone if I say this. And that's not how you're supposed to carry yourself in a relationship. You got to carry yourself with the confidence of this is who I am and this is what I feel. And if you can't respect that, then by all means, you can leave because that's not a healthy way to live your life. And that's what I don't know, just you saying that shit, right? You not understanding yourself, it really made me think like, damn, it's just such a common experience that most people don't really reflect on.
Especially working with a mask. Bowtender is a brand. It's not who I am, right? It's like I have to take that mask off when I get home, and sometimes they never came off. It was just like on all the time, on. So it's like, how can I really, really separate myself from the brand to like Alfredo, and that's that's still taking some time.
What do you feel like's the hardest change you've had to make about yourself so far?
Job wise, fatherhood wise, relationship wise.
There's been a lot of changes you've had to make within yourself. So personally, what do you feel like's the hardest change you've had to make? And even separating Bowtender from Alfredo.
Well, one of the changes that I had to make that's been taking me almost at this point almost a year is even having like being mature enough to have a conversation with the mother of my child, to make sure our daughter is good. As far as my vices, that's still an ongoing battle, because once if I go back to that lifestyle, I'm gonna repeat the cycle. So that's this that is just a battle not to just do it. Like I don't. There's no other like better question. Answer I could give you is this: it's a battle every day for me to not give in.
So between Bowtender and Alfredo, what's the biggest difference you see now?
I'm more understanding. I'm drinking less. And then as far as bartender, when I first got into bartending, I love to create cocktails. That's what I got into bartending. And then it became repetitive for me, and I just became like, I just want to make drinks and get money, right? Now I'm getting back into trying to be that mixologist.
That's crazy because on the Run It Back podcast, you said you hate the term mixologist.
I hate the term mixologist. That's why I'm a bartender first. And then I like the ology part of the mixing.
You like the art of it.
When somebody calls themselves a mixologist, that is telling me that one, they don't care about the people that they're serving. They care more about the cocktail that they're serving. A bartender for me is they tend the bar. They make sure everybody's having a fun time at the bar and their drinks are good. I feel I'm a bartender. But don't get it twisted. I can still be a mixologist too. But I love I love the interactions between the guest and the bartender more than I like making the drink.
You know, even with those interactions, it gives you more experience to life, honestly.
Yeah, I've met so many people. My networking, like my if I had a Rolodex, my Rolodex would have been filled with so many dope people in my life.
What do you feel like's the best lesson you've learned from somebody while bartending?
The say no part, like don't try to please everybody. Don't try to please everybody because pleasing everybody is like that dollar chase. You never be able to please everybody, and you can never find that dollar and never catch up to that dollar. So I remember a guest, him telling me that he was just a random guest that I never seen again. But I remember him telling me that, and I was like, all right, well, whatever you say. He's like, I lost everything because I never stopped.
So let's take it back, right?
Mhm.
Somebody you've mentioned a lot today is the mother of your child. And you mentioned not being able to love the same after that relationship. Immediately, I thought of the song by Drake, Karaoke, where he says, I know they say the first love is the sweetest, but the first cut is the deepest. Might have not been your first, but it was the first real family that you had that was your own. And when you lose something that's such an important part in your life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, or just a person in general, it forces you to take that inward look, just like you are now, and realize the things that are wrong with you, the things that you've done wrong, as well as what could I do better for the future. And I think about that a lot for myself when it came to losing relationships. I knew I was the problem because I was in a position where, okay, I'm not willing to give you what you need. And that's okay. So go find somebody that will give you what you need. But for you, it was really a thing where you knew what you were doing wrong, but how am I going to break the cycle now? And just like you said before, you have to fail to experience success.
Mhm.
How did this failure of this relationship help you grow?
Understanding what I could provide in a relationship, what and then the communication has to be on point. That's what I'm working on now. And not being afraid to say like, "Hey, I am tired." Like as simple as that sounds, but if you the smallest communication could relieve a whole bunch of stress in your relationship, and it's little things like that, like, "Hey, I'm tired," and even saying that, I'm sure I would have saved so many fights that we've had. Because people don't know what's going on in your mind until you tell them, and I couldn't express that, and that's something that I'm working on now, and that's why I want to. A lot of times I'm by myself. If I don't have my daughter, I'm by myself because, like I said, I'm trying to understand who I am by myself, and I'm not trying to have anybody else in my mind or ear to tell me how I should be feeling. Right? If they want to listen, then by all means. But I don't want nobody telling me what I should be feeling or how I should be moving, because I'm gonna move how I want to move. but now it's smarter. And if I had communication in my relationship, we would still be together. Hands down, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done a lot of shit that I've done.
So that lack of communication drove you away from being able to connect on a deeper level.
It became so repetitive after a few. I mean, the later years that it was like work, work. Kids, work, um, school, take them to school. It wasn't. There was nothing. There was no like fire anymore. It was just straight like a repetitive thing.
At this point, do you feel like you'll find love in the same level that you had before?
Probably not, but I'm not afraid to look for it. But now I'm not gonna be looking for it. I'm not ready for that at all. Um, but I think the next person that I'm going to be with, one, they gotta understand I'm a bartender. Two, we gotta hit therapy like in the beginning, like together, because I gotta make sure they right, because I'm like if I'm enjoying therapy now and or even if I'm not enjoying it, if it's making me, you know, rethink how I live, then I need them to understand that also, because it took me this. I'm 35, about to be 36 in July, and it took me this long to understand that you can't do it by yourself. You need somebody to talk to.
What do you feel like was the biggest struggle in trying to balance a relationship and your job?
When I get off, to be off. I brought a lot of stuff that I was dealing with at the bar, the club, back home with me. I drank a lot. I would come home drunk, and just be bad. I was just bad. I was just bad. And that's what I don't do that now, because like I said, I want to create this beautiful emotional environment for my daughter. You know, drinking took a lot from me also.
It's one of those hard realizations you have to come to because your brand is completely built around that. So you really had to separate the character from the person, and that's something that I've struggled with a lot is trying to figure out how much of the public is sad boy and how much of the personal is Matt. And it's a conversation I had with Ozone is how to balance both. And I'm still trying to find that balance because you don't want everybody knowing every single thing about your life. But when you are in the entertainment industry, you're kind of on a microscopic level. Like people are going to learn no matter what. If somebody really cares about what you do, they're going to be able to find whatever they want out about you, especially in today's day and age. So it's like, how much do I lean into the character? I asked you about do you think you'll love on the same level? Because somebody asked me that question one time. And I told them, I don't think you could ever love somebody the way you once first loved
That's true.
because you felt that emotion one time already and it was pure. Now it's tainted a little bit. Now you have these walls up that are going to impact any relationship you enter now. And for me, that's how it was for a long time. And even to this day, I think that subconsciously there's stuff that's impacting me that doesn't allow me to give as much love as I possibly can to somebody.
Do you feel that you do know that you're not giving out the love that you should, or do you not realize it until it gets pointed out or something?
A combination of both. I think that there are times where I know I should be able to do more. And then there's also times where it's like, well, I've done everything I possibly can. But it comes back to that balance, right? Because before, when I felt that I wasn't who I am today, I didn't have this priority of Sad Boy Radio. So back then, it was all my time can be dedicated to one person. Everything I do can be dedicated to this one person. I had school at the time. That was it. That was fucking easy for me. That was light work. This is an everyday job. Every day I wake up, I know I have to cut a clip. Every day I wake up, I know I have to write, I have to contact people, I have to make sure the schedule's right. I have to talk to my producer to make sure shit's ready to go. Like, there's a lot of moving parts. And just like you said, I need that other person to understand like what I do. It's not a hobby, it's what I enjoy to do and it's eventually going to be the career. It's going to be the breadwinner. But right now, we got to build that. We got to start from ground zero and keep on building. We're not at ground zero no more, but we're not at the point where we're fucking making tons of money, right? And then you throw in other priorities such as family. You got pets. You got a that's a kid. That's not a pet. That's a fucking kid. Going back to your question of do I realize that I'm not giving as much as I can sometimes, but it's also like that person needs to understand that there's more at work than just I don't want to give you what I am giving you, you know?
Yeah, you're chopped up. You're here over there, over there. That's how it is. Especially when you're starting your brand, right? You're starting, you getting that you want to, and you can't miss, when that ball starts rolling, you can't miss the opportunity.
Experiencing everything you have. What does love look like now for you? Or what does your idea of love look like?
I don't even know. I don't know if I need to be with somebody that's in the industry or somebody that's out of the industry. I don't know if I need to look for somebody older or younger. I don't know if I what type of career they should be having. I am so confused right now as far as looking for a relationship is that I don't know what's gonna fit my life, and that's kind of scary too. Like thinking about it right now, I'm like that's kind of scary. Like you don't know the confusion of like who could fit. The most important thing right now is just my daughter. I don't know where I would be without her because you know when you lose that when I lost it, I'm like damn, if I didn't have her, what would I have? Working, like, and then that's wild. Like, are you doing this working? That's crazy to me.
Man, I appreciate you coming on here, being so open and honest with us. And it was a really dope conversation, bro. I love talking about relationships and love in general because it's such a,
You stumped me a few times. I'm not gonna lie.
it's one of those things that everybody experiences and everybody experiences it in a different way. But it's at the end of the day, we all know that, like, man, love over everything, like, most people would take that in a heartbeat. But when you're in this industry,
It's scary.
it's scary and you have to make sacrifices.
The sacrifices that I'm making now, if I would have sacrificed, the jobs and the money years ago, my life would have been somewhere different right now.
But that all stems from where you come from.
I was just a hard worker.
That
Yeah,
all stems from the experiences that have shaped you into the person that you are, right? And that's how I think of it.
that's true.
I don't know what your life looked like before. I don't know what it looked like when you were younger, but you grew up in Humble Park
Yeah, Humble Park, Bucktown.
at that time, right? I assume your family didn't have like the most money in the world,
No, no, but I remember the best that they could do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but you take that into account, right? And you're like, well, certain things and even subconsciously, certain things I didn't have growing up. Since I didn't have that, now I strive to be able to buy whatever I want. I strive to give the best to my family. So to you, maybe money was the answer to everything. Maybe money was your form of showing love. And that's how I think of it. Even recently, for me, I'm a very, and people tell me all the time, you're transactional, but I'm very much so. If you do this for me, I don't mind doing it for you. When I think of love, I think it's not what you're gonna do for me, but it's if you're willing to do it for me, I'm willing to do it for you too. Because I'll go out of my way for you no matter what. But are you willing to do the same? There's a song by August Alsina. This is the last song I'm gonna shout out. It's called Would You Know? In the song he says, could you be the one on my side or would you run and hide? If I gave my all to you, baby, would you play your part? If I gave you my heart, would you know what to do with it? I love this song so much because it's playing with that idea of love. Like, if I give you everything I possibly can, are you down to play the role that I give you? Because you have a role to play, I have a role to play. And if we're both willing to play that role, then we can make it work. If not, then all right, it's time to call it quits. And shit, man, there's a lot of ways you can look at love. Like the question I asked you, what is your idea of love now? Shit, maybe I don't even know what my idea of love is, right? I'm not the fucking I'm sad boy radio, but I'm not a fucking love counselor. So don't fucking take all my advice and say like, hey, you gave me this advice. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming through. I
thank you,
love the
man.
conversation, bro. And shit, I hope to see you soon, man. I'll
Definitely.
definitely stop by Era
Yeah,
sometime
man.
soon.
Stop by Era. I got you.
Make sure you guys go ahead, pop out to Era, see your boy Bowtender. Make sure you tip him good.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we there, baby. Era.
Subalo Sundays with
Little
DJ Drip.
Sundays. Yep.
That's gonna be all, guys. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
Broken pieces, who's to blame?